Welcome to A Double
and
Dice
with your host Kim.
and Jocelyn.
Pour your favorite beverage,
Pull up a comfy chair.
because we are ready to roll. Welcome to episode 72 of A Double and Dice, and today I'm starting the episode instead of Kim. Yay!
Mm-hmm.
And you know what that means? That means that Kim is going to take the main role today because we are going to do another episode of a female character in Dice Masters. And this episode, Kim, is coming out on what day?
Monday, October 31st.
Which is also known as
Halloween.
That's right. So we picked somebody who we felt was maybe a little bit spooky.
Mm-hmm. She does a lot of costume changes.
That's one way to put it. So I'm going to turn the reins over to Kim, and she's going to tell us a little bit about Mystique.
Yes, we picked Mystique because we thought it was a little fitting for a Halloween-ish episode, I guess. Because, she changes a lot.
Yeah, and less obvious than like a goblin, like Green Goblin or something like that. And also, Green Goblin is not a female character in Dice Masters.
That's right. Yeah. And we haven't done D&D yet. And one day we will, Nick. Don't worry. Don't stop yelling at us.
I keep reminding Kim that we need to get that done.
Yeah. One day.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're doing Mystique today, a.k.a. Raven Darkholm. I don't know how to say her last name. Darkholm. It has a thing on the top. So I'm assuming it's
Yeah, what are
German?
those two dots called on top of the O?
Oh, I don't know the exact name of it. I would tell you one that's probably in French, but this one's not French.
That's an accent aigu.
Yeah, exactly. I like saying
But that's also not dots.
No, it's a line. But yeah, if you find it, so I don't know how they pronounce that.
It's an umlaut.
An umlaut. Okay.
Yes.
How do you say it though? It's like dark. I have to say it like an accent. I feel like dark home. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
It sounds very. I don't know. You did the research. So where is she from?
We don't know, but we'll find out. So actually, there's not much about her background, but we'll go. I've managed to find some information.
Okay.
So this is taken from Earth 616.
That's the regular Earth.
That's regular Earth, yes. I tend to point that out because sometimes, it could be from different Earths or whatever, or across. So it's funny because when I was on Marvel Fandom, there was actually a quote for her. So I'm going to say the quote because I thought it was neat. She says, "I'm everywhere. I'm nowhere. A shadow, unchained and unleashed. The world made me this way, so let the world suffer. Whoever his masters may be. Mystique." Anyways. So I thought it was fitting for our little Halloween-ish.
That's a cool quote.
That is a cool quote.
Mm-hmm.
So there actually isn't much revealed about Mystique's past life. They actually don't really have much information about her. She's a shapeshifter, as we know, so she can pretty much change into anything she wishes. She, at an early age, she pretty much knew of her powers. And because she can shapeshift and all these things, we don't know how old she is. I managed to see something, I don't know how true it is, that she can be like 100.
Yeah, I see something here that says that it appears that her earliest attested appearance dates back to around 1900.
Yeah, so she could be maybe like say now or however the comic books does their timeline, but she could be over 100.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no exact, because she can change, so she can change into any type of person, sex, whatever it is, guy, girl, you know what I mean, like age, young, old, right? So we have no idea. But she realized her powers from a young age. I think about when she was about 12 years old. And then from there, she pretty much, as they quote it, as fight just to survive, as she was young. So we don't really know. I haven't found anything about like whom her parents were or anything like that. So her true form, she's a mutant. So her true form When she's in her true form, she looks like a young woman with red hair, yellow eyes, and dark blue skin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then she shapeshifts into whatever she pretty much wants. So she's known as pretty much the villain, but I think she can be a good person as well. So if you've read the comics and stuff like that, you would probably come about that. And any comic person could tell us too, right? So, but mostly she's been pinpointed as a villain.
Yeah.
Most,
Well, maybe she's just misunderstood.
that could be it too. So she had shape shifted into a consulting detective, and then when she was listed into services of a person named Irene Adler, whom was also a mutant, and she went by the name of Destiny. I don't know if you know anything about that comic character.
I have
Um,
heard of the comic character Destiny, mostly because there's a HeroClix figure.
okay. So she was a mutant who wrote a bunch of, as they put it, confusing passages concerning the future,
Mm.
and of like the mutant kind. So her powers were like she could see the future, but it was like not clear. You know what I mean? Like it was
Right.
like jumbled or like all over the place. And so she was trying to decipher, kind of like what these things meant. Okay. And that's how she kind of met Mystique, aka Raven.
Mm-hmm.
Those two actually became quite close, quite good friends. They actually became lovers and they got married.
Cool.
So yeah, so that was her wife. I believe Destiny was known for I don't want to mess this stuff like LBTQ and stuff like that. So she, yeah,
LGBTQ.
so she was pretty big on that. So if you ever read her comics, I'm sure, or know her story, but we won't get into it. But she was big, like a big female person for that, right? So,
Okay, well, I have to interrupt here, Kim.
mm-hmm,
So we haven't had any like horrible stories yet. So did
mm-hmm.
did Destiny and Mystique have like a bad falling out of any type?
The we can get there, but so they kind of worked together and really didn't really say they had a big falling out, more like they parted ways.
Well,
Like
that's good.
like they kind of like just kind of just went away from each other's life. I guess depending on what all these things that happen, Mystique, she was part of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. She was also part of something called Freedom Force, which I've never actually heard of.
Mm-hmm.
She was a leader of that. She had X Factor, which was another one I don't think I've ever heard of.
X Factor?
Yeah, X Factor.
Oh,
I don't think
X,
so.
X Factor is very important.
Oh, really?
Yeah, X Factor Investigations, headed by Multiple Man.
Oh, there you go. Your favorite
Mm-hmm.
character. So I think that just eventually they just kind of parted ways.
Okay,
Okay.
this is good news.
Yeah. So there wasn't any. It's funny enough, Mystique didn't even, since we don't know much about her background or I guess her early life and growing up, we actually don't really know, right? So we'll take it as a good thing.
Let's do that.
But she was, as Mystique, and her character, she's pretty all over the place, right? So once she parted kind of ways with Destiny, she met up with Victor Creed, aka
Sabretooth.
Victor Creed. Yeah. So she was actually shape shifted into a deceased German secret agent named Lenny. I don't know. It's Leni.
I'm gonna go with
Lenny.
Lenny.
Yeah.
Lenny Zauber.
Yep. So they kind of had a thing. They had a son named Graydon. He actually never manifested into any kind of mutant power. So Mystique was a bit disappointed about that, and she abandoned him.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah.
Now she's the bad girl.
Yeah. He became a leader of the mutant hating organizations, and then eventually became a politician. So he was really against mutants and what they, the anti-mutant people. So at the height of his political career, he was assassinated by an unknown shooter. And then again, these people who know all the comic books, the shooter was later revealed to be a time traveling version of Mystique. And this was all part of some type of time paradox. So I'm not going into details of this, but yeah. So if I couldn't find anything on that, I'm sure if you look it up, you can probably find all the information on that. So yeah, I think it was also part of the whole X-Men thing. There's something about time shifting there, or X-Men of the past, or something like that. So, yeah. So he's actually assassinated by his mom.
Well, usually when we do these stories, Kim, there's some horrible thing that happened to the woman character, the female character.
More like
this time, it seems like she's doing the horrible things. This is awful. I'm so sorry, Mystique. What hurt you?
Yeah. So then she kind of again parted ways with Victor. We're gonna come to know that Mystique has been around. Okay.
Okay.
So she's now disguised as an ordinary human and married a person named Baron Christian Wagner. Baron Christian Wagner. He was a German nobility. They also got married. So he was her husband. She was in love, but she wasn't really in love with him. They were just having like a relationship. So good old Mystique had some multiple affairs with other men, and she met another shapeshifter who can also teleport by the name of Azazel. I don't know these names.
I go with it.
Yep. And he stated he was the ruler of an island nation off the coast of Bermuda, La Isla de Demonos, the island of demons.
La Isla de Demonos.
There you go. Demonos. Yeah, the island of demons. So soon she became pregnant, and of course her husband, what was his name? Baron
Christian Wagner. I think Baron's a title.
Oh, maybe. Oh, okay. So Christian is his name.
Yeah, I think so.
Or maybe it depends on his where he ranked, I guess. And, yeah. Okay. So her husband was pretty suspicious that the child wasn't his. He suggested a blood test to verify if the child was his. And then, Mystique kind of daggered him, and he died.
She just daggered him.
Yep.
I don't want to have this DNA test. I'm just gonna kill you.
Yeah, you don't need to know anything, and then pretty much killed him and buried him. So the child ended up being a boy with black hair, yellow eyes, blue skin, and a pointed tail.
Well, that sounds familiar.
The locals, where I guess they lived, considered both the mother and the child to be demons. They wanted to slay them. Mystique managed to pretty much escape, but of course, what she do? She went back to her old ways, abandoned him. Yeah, and he grew up to be
Nightcrawler.
Right.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I did not know that Nightcrawler was Mystique's son.
It totally makes sense, though.
Yeah. So he has the same color skin.
And eyes.
And yes, and I think he resembles something of Azazel as well, but I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was the tail part. They didn't really describe how he looked, or maybe they did and I just overlooked it. But yeah, so mutant, and then of course Nightcrawler has the teleport mutant power, same as his father. So yeah, that was surprising. Yeah, that's a interesting one. I never knew that. Actually, I didn't even know she had all these children, to be honest with you.
I didn't know she was over 100 years old. That was news to me.
Yeah. And that's, well, I don't know how true it is, but that's like saying that's how long she's been around, right?
I mean, if she's had this many children.
I know. So when she was with her wife, Destiny, Destiny foresaw something from the future. So Mystique also had a daughter, but this was more of a adoptive daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and her name was Anna Marie, aka
Ooh, Rogue.
yeah. See, I'm testing Jocelyn today. Yes, so she, I guess in Destiny had this foresight of something in the future, and Mystique pretty much thought it was important. So she kind of went finding Rogue, sought her out, gained her trust, took her in, kind of became her adopted mother.
Did she abandon her too? Probably.
I didn't probably yeah. From my readings, there was a whole storyline with them and um, as she was like in the Brotherhood and all these things. And then I think I don't know if she really abandoned her, but more like she kind of met up with the X-Men and kind of stayed with the X-Men. So Mystique kind of just let it go.
Right.
I don't know if they're really like she really abandoned her or not. So what's that? 3 kids? Well, there was more. So I said Mystique had a lot of relationships. You may have known she had a relationship with Wolverine.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and had a son, Raz. Um, Again, I don't know when any of this happened in her timeline.
Mm-hmm.
But she did have a serious relationship with Wolverine. She also had what I read. Iceman was one of them. Forge was one of them. What are some names? We know Sabretooth. Quite a few people. Only really married Christian and Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
And then supposedly she had a son named Charles Xavier II, which I assume is from Professor X.
That would make sense.
So I think a lot of this goes around with the X-Men. Is it the past?
Days of Future Past?
Yeah, Days of Future Past probably. The thing about all this is like it doesn't really give you like timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're really looking into individual stories.
Right.
So if you look into like what she was doing with the Brotherhood, and then what she did with Freedom Force or X Factor or X-Men, I think this is where a lot of the stuff probably played into the story. But I was gonna get into all that. Just pick a few things from herself. But
So okay, I'm going to go to the movies here, Kim.
okay.
The Fox movies.
Yeah.
So I thought in the Fox movies she spent a lot of time with Magneto. Is that
You know
a
what?
thing that happened?
What was Magneto's real name? I forget what his real name was.
I should know this.
I didn't see in my
Victor?
readings. Was it
Is it
Victor?
Victor? Hang on, Magneto.
I didn't see in my readings anything about Magneto.
Eric.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Eric Lensher?
Unless it happened in when she was like into the Brotherhood of Mutants.
Yes. It says here that she is Magneto's oldest Brotherhood companion and former lover.
Yep. What was the other people? They actually had a list. I didn't like. Okay, so we had Destiny, Wolverine, Christian, Azael, Sabretooth, Forge, Iceman, Dakin. I don't know who that is. Phantom X.
Mm-hmm.
Shepard. No, that says One Kiss, so maybe not really serious. Doesn't really list him here, but I would assume something would have happened with them. So
yeah, interesting.
But they didn't really list her as having a relationship. But maybe it's more into the Brotherhood storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Reading into if you read into that one, or our comic book fans out there could let us know. But she's still living. We don't know how old she is. Over 100, we assume, or 100. She's been deceased, and regeneration. Look at that. Again, timeline, don't know. But yeah, so all the other things are really what she's been into with her affiliations and stuff, which you can go read on Marvel.fandom or whatnot, or if you know it, just let us know. But that's pretty much her in a nutshell. I would say she's been around.
So she's had lots of relationships in her time.
Yes.
She has had some struggles as a parent, it sounds like.
Yep.
And, you know, it sounds like she's had a bit of a rough time finding her place, right? Like,
yeah, because she's jumped around a lot. Yeah.
And like, what an interesting power set. The fact that she can shapeshift into basically anything that she wants. Like, how do you know what to be? It must be very confusing.
I assume she takes a lot of forms of, like, she took the form of what the deceased German person Lenny, right? You know what I mean? Like, maybe these people don't exist anymore.
Maybe.
And she just like, or I don't really know how she like does she have to like see the person to do it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, does she just have to see a picture how this person looks to transform? I actually never actually looked into that. Of how it actually happens.
I don't know, Kim.
Oh, just says she can cause herself to look and sound like the exact duplicate of any human, humanoid, or semi-humanoid being of any sex, wearing virtually any kind of clothing.
I
so
mean,
maybe
when
she
you
just
can
has to look.
Yeah. How do you choose?
Her control is so exact that she can precisely duplicate another person's retina pattern in her own eyes. Finger, palm, and skin pore patterns on her hands and skin smell to overlap the original being, and vocal cords to match voices to the point of corresponding voice print. Crazy. That's like such a neat power. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you hear all these like out of his eyes and you know what I mean? Like all these other things, but I heard hers is like precise.
Interesting.
Exact.
Well, should we see how Mystique's power set and her history connect to her cards and Dice Masters, Kim?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. So we're going to go way back, all the way back, way back to Avengers vs. X-Men, the very first ever Dice Master set.
Were you going to say Dark Phoenix?
I was going to say Dark Phoenix. Dice Master set. And she had 3 cards in that set. She had a common, an uncommon, and a rare. Now, what's interesting about Mystique is there are 14 cards for Mystique. There are 13 sort of regular cards and then 1 promo.
Yeah.
But her die has never changed.
Only color, right?
Yeah. Every version of her die has the same stats. Its level 1 is 1/1/1. 1 cost to field, 1 attack, 1 defense. Level 2 is 0/1/1. So 0 to field, 1 attack, 1 defense. And then level 3 is 2/1/1, 2 to field, 1 to attack, 1 to defense. She does have a burst face on her dice, and some of her dice have burst abilities. We only have 1 version of her that includes a global ability. So that's very interesting. So yeah, her die has stayed exactly the same since the very beginning. But other things have changed. So let's start with Mystique. She is the unknown. So that seems very apt with what you said about her initially, Kim, there. This version of Mystique is a 4-cost mask with the Hydra affiliation, which has now been released with the generic villain affiliation. And it says, when Mystique is engaged, so that would be engaged with another die, she copies the die stats and card abilities of 1 character that she is engaged with. So that would be when she's, I guess, attacking or defending. On the burst phase, she also gains an extra +1 attack and +1 defense.
Very fitting.
Absolutely. So she's copying you.
That's actually pretty
interesting. Neat. It is kind of neat. 4 cost for those stats and fielding costs seems high, and you'll see as we move on that things change. The uncommon Mystique is the Shapeshifter. She's a 6-cost mask. Obviously, I said her die doesn't change, so she's a mask all the way through. When fielded, choose an opponent's character card. Mystique copies that card except purchase cost and the die faces until the next Mystique is fielded. On a burst face, she also copies the die faces matching level for level. So this is one of the probably earliest versions of the copying mechanic, which since then has become much more complex and includes a lot of different things and depends on how you copy. But you pay 6 for these little stats. I certainly hope you want to roll her on that level 3 and get the burst face so you can get the opponent's die level as well. Right?
Yeah, because it only copies the card, so that's her text. The opponent's character is text only, and then you got to get it on the bursts to do.
Well, that
else
card I think would include affiliations.
Oh yeah, probably.
Right. So, but yeah, interesting. And then I will read her rare, which is Mystique could be anyone, also very apt. 5 cost, villain affiliation, at the beginning of your turn. So this is an interesting timing. We don't see a lot of this. There's a little bit of it in the game. Choose an opposing fielded character. So I think now they would say active character. Each of your Mystique dice copies the stats on that character's die until your next turn. And then on the burst phase, she also gains an extra +1A and +1D. So of those 3 from AVX, I think I'd probably go with the rare, could be anyone. At the beginning of my turn, I get to choose a die that you have in the field already.
Yeah, I like that one too. And then maybe the common.
Yeah, I think with the common, because it's when she's engaged, unless you pair it with something like a force block or a force attack to force your opponent to engage with her, more than likely she's only a 1 attack across the board. They're probably just going to let her through. Right?
Should be more of a blocker, right? So someone comes at you with something big like a Hulk or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you just throw her in front.
Choose to block. Yeah,
like a sidekick, except expensive.
Yeah, she'll just be more for, I would say, more for blocking than she would be attacking, right? So.
Yeah. I think the uncommon is interesting, but for a 6 cost, it just feels like too much for what you get.
And then you got to get her on the burst to really get her full effect of it.
That's right. Early versions of copying. Kim, would you like to take us through the Uncanny X-Men versions of Kim?
Sure.
Of
so there's
Kim, of Mystique.
common.
Did I just spoil it?
What?
That you're Mystique?
Oh,
maybe. Shh! Don't tell anybody.
Don't tell people my secrets. I'm secretly, shapeshifted into Kim Tang. Where am I here? Okay, so common. She has a common, an uncommon, and a rare in the Uncanny X-Men. The common is ageless.
Again, very apt with her story.
3 cost. Also the Hydra affiliation, aka the villain affiliation. Mystique gets +1A and +1D for each die in your prep area.
Interesting.
You need a lot of dice in your prep area, though.
Well, I mean, I don't know when Uncanny X-Men was around if there was a way to do that, but certainly there were ways to do it later.
Yeah, I think it was probably if we really look on the card, we might be able to see a year. No.
Well, Uncanny X-Men was like
2014. Yeah.
It was very early.
So interesting. Her uncommon is called Raven Darkholme. That's how I'm going to say it. Fitting. It's her name. Mystique gets also a 3 cost. Her Mystique gets +1A and +1D for each other villain in the field, meaning both players' field zone.
So that's interesting. I wonder if that includes, it says each other villain, so it wouldn't count herself.
No.
But does it count it by die or by character? I would assume that would be by character.
Each other villain.
But I don't know. I don't know if there's a ruling on that one. I will look it up while you were talking.
Her one of her cards, which we'll get to, that I play a lot of, doesn't count her. It does count herself if you had 2.
But this one wouldn't count herself. It says other.
Yeah. So the other one says other too. Well, I would say probably doesn't. But each other villain. Each other. Yeah, it wouldn't count herself.
And this is Mystique Raven Darkholm, which does not have any ruling.
Her. Yeah, we'll have to compare that one to then the one we'll get later on, because it's almost the same wording. Raven. Oh, sorry. Her rare, which is a 4 cost. Alice U. Wait, is that right?
Alias.
Alias U. Well, why is there like a... Oh, okay. I thought they made a typo there with the other colon.
No, that's right. Alias U. Yeah. It's like pause. She's copying you.
Ah, so that's what that means when it does that. I'm learning. English was... I hated English. Okay, so when Mystique attacks, she gains the attack value and all assigning... Wait, I'm going to read it from the card. Let me see. She gains the attack value and all assigning and attacking abilities of one opposing character. When Mystique attacks, she gains the attack value and all assigning and attacking abilities of one opposing character. So she would have to attack with another character and pretty much gains their abilities?
So what's interesting, and I don't know if this is just because the win is maybe having a trouble right now, is, and when I say the win, like we talked about in the last episode, that's the WizKids Information Network. In the Dice Masters rules form, there is an ability or a ruling on Mystique alias U. However, when I click on it, it says the requested ruling does not exist.
They took it down.
But I can still see it in the search. So I can only read part of it. I can't see the whole thing.
Interesting.
So
it is a very confusing sentence.
Yeah, so there's something about gains means copies. I can see that.
She gains the attack value and all assigning.
Yeah, so this one says, does this mean any opposing character on their force or team? Do they need to have purchased that die and have it in the field for Mystique to copy? Can she copy from the use pile, prep area? Any clarification would be appreciated. It says Mystique's ability must choose a character that is active in your opponent's field zone. So that is normal, right? Yeah. That's normal now. So that one I can open, but this other one, I can't open the ruling. It's just gone. So
you pretty much want to copy when attack opposing character ability, because it says all assigning and attacking abilities. So if that character says when this X attacks, blah 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 blah, so you kind of copy something like that, which is kind of tough.
Yeah, wording on old sets was challenging.
Like, I wouldn't see much use out of this card, because you need to guarantee that your opponent will have something she can copy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, like, she could be just a useless card on your team.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, I wasn't playing competitively then, Kim, and neither were you, so we don't know if there was something that was maybe valuable to copy that makes sense to put her on the team. So
all our veterans out there, yeah,
let us know. All right, so let's move into Mystique's only promo, which was from 2017, and it is called Mystique the Brotherhood. It's a really cool looking art on that. And it's a 3-cost mask with the Brotherhood of Mutants affiliation. And it says, Deadly! What does Deadly say? What does Deadly mean, Kim?
At the end of turn, KO all character dice that were engaged with this character.
Yeah, so that one's pretty straightforward. 3-cost mask. Good stuff. So let's go into the next appearance of Mystique, which was the X-Men Forever campaign box.
Yes.
So there's one of these that you in particular want to talk about, Kim, right? Is it the second one?
Yeah, because it's on my 2-team takedown team as well. And I play this card a lot. So
is it the 4 cost?
Yeah, it's Obiter's Victory.
Okay. So I'll start with the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Mystique, Brotherhood of Her Own. So this would be, I think, in referring to when she sort of took over the Brotherhood of Mutants, reformed it. 3 cost mask. Now this character has 2 affiliations. It has the Brotherhood affiliation as well as the villain affiliation. And it says Mystique gets +2 attack and +2 defense for each different active non-Mystique Brotherhood character, both sides. So this is getting better.
Yeah, so it has to be if you had 2 of X, it's only counting the 1. So they all have to be unique.
That's right.
Pretty much. Yep.
It's character, not character die.
Mm-hmm. And it's non-Mystique villain character.
That's non-Mystique Brotherhood character on your side or your opponent's side. And it's pretty cool. +2 attack, +2 defense just for having a different character active with that affiliation, which in current day, fast move forward to 2022, you can give characters or character dice that are active the Brotherhood of Mutants team ability, affiliation with the radicalization global.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So,
yep.
Does that work or does that not work?
I think so. What does radicalization say? Do you remember?
It says grant active character die this affiliation.
Oh, okay.
I think it works.
Yeah, it can work.
Let us know if that works or not. Because we're not granting the card the affiliation. We're just granting the die the affiliation. But if it's not a Mystique die and we grant that die the affiliation, it is a different active non-Mystique Brotherhood character at that moment in time. Mm-hmm. So I think that works.
Again, this one is kind of tough because your opponent may not have that affiliation, right? So,
but if the radicalization global exists,
yeah, you can give
it to them.
Mm-hmm.
And also it says both sides, but you can also do it to yourself. Like there's other Brotherhood characters, right? So so you could just build your own team around it, and if your opponent happened to be running some, then bonus.
Yeah. You can just build your whole team around Brotherhood. There's a few out there.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to take us to the next one, Kim?
Yeah. Bitter Victory. 4 cost. Also the same affiliations, Brotherhood and Villain. Mystique gets +1A and +1D for each other character die in the field zone.
That's right. So she would count everything except herself.
Yes.
Like
even if she had an extra of herself?
Yeah. The other die would be counted, but this one wouldn't.
So in the previous one, it did not say die. It said for each other villain in the field. So it doesn't say die in that one.
That's right. So that would be villain character, not villain character die. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is my favorite one to play because she can get really beefy.
Well, because you've got all kinds of sidekicks and now there's like token making affiliations. Like you could, throw her on a team with a master mold.
Yeah.
Sentinels forever.
If your opponent's having a nice field going, bonus for you.
I mean, you don't really need a Mystique on
one
a
of
master
my
mold
one of my
team.
favorite. Yeah, one of my favorite characters, like her card to play. I think I've mostly played this one. I don't think I've ever played any of her other ones. But yeah, one of my favorites. And it's on my 2-team takedown team.
Nice. And her last one from the X-Men Forever campaign box is Hellfire Headmistress. She's a 6-cost mask. This one has the villain affiliation and the Hellfire Club affiliation. Wow. Who would have guessed?
I don't remember. I think I remember reading her something about Hellfire, but I didn't get into it.
Well, the subtitle's Hellfire Headmistress, so if she didn't have the Hellfire affiliation, I'd be disappointed. Yeah. So, is she worth 6? Let's find out. When fielded, choose an opposing non-villain card. This fielded character die has the printed attack and defense values of that card matching level for level. This character die also gains the text of that card as long as this character die is active. That's on the burst face. So this one breaks all the copying rules.
Yep, just choose a card as long as it's not a villain card.
Yeah, choose a non-villain card. Yep. Then this particular character die has the printed attack and defense values of that card based on its level, and then it also gains the text of that card if this character die is active, as long as the Mystique die is active. So this is completely, I think this completely breaks the character copying rules.
So really, if you roll her, right, let's say on level 1 and 2, and then you use a spin up to get her to 3, she'll gain that, right? As long as she's active, now she gains the text, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so...
But you would have to, based on the way this is worded, it's this fielded character die. If you had multiples of her, you'd have to keep track of, this one is Master Mold. This one is Barry Allen. I
didn't even think about that. You have to really read that. This fielded character die has the printed. Interesting. I kind of want to play with this card now.
Well, you're too busy playing with Oh Bitter Victory.
Yeah, I know. And it's a 6 cost too. I don't really like to go that high, but I think it's worth this 6 cost.
Yeah, again, all the copying rules. I don't like copying, Kim.
That's a pretty big headache, I know.
Copying is complicated.
Yeah.
So, all right. So then that was X-Men Forever. Then we had a bit of a break with Mystiques. And when did she come back, Kim?
In Dark Phoenix.
The Dark Phoenix Saga. Absolutely. Do you want to read the first one?
It is a 2 cost mask. Relentless.
X-Men.
X-Men affiliated for this one.
Yep, she's a good guy here.
When Wolverine is active, dun, 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 Mystique gets plus 2A.
And there was a lot of these abilities in Dark Phoenix Saga. When Wolverine is active, something happened with the other character.
Was Moira one of them too when she had a Wolverine, right?
I think so. There's several. Yeah. There's a Psylocke, and
Wolverine's very popular.
Everyone likes Wolverine. He's Canadian.
Global. She has a global on this card. This is the only global that we were talking about earlier. Pay double mask. Target character die can't block this turn if it shares a team affiliation with a character card on your team.
That's a cool global.
I don't think I've ever used that.
It's an expensive global, but it's a cool global. I think it would be a more useful global if team affiliations were more prominent in team building, because right now they don't really do a whole heck of a lot. Every so often you have something that feeds off an affiliation, but this whole, if my characters have the same affiliation as your characters, and if it's active, I can say you can't block. But I think there's other ways to make something can't block.
So what's the team part of the affiliation mean? It's not just any affiliate. Like, it's not like, okay, you have an X-Men and my team has an X-Men.
Yeah. So Mystique is an X-Man, right?
Yeah.
So if you are attacking with her, before you attack with her, you pay the 2 masks and you say, let's say you have a Wolverine active. Okay. He's an X-Man. You say, Wolverine can't block this turn because it shares the X-Men affiliation with my Mystique. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
But this is with a character card on your team, so it could be any card, right?
That's right. So as long as so if your opponent has a die active, let's say it's a villain, and you have a villain on your team because, this is the Dark Phoenix Saga. So guess what? You're running Dark Phoenix. She's a villain. So if your opponent has a villain on their team and you have Dark Phoenix on your team and you don't want that villain to block, then you say, that villain can't block because we have a villain on my team.
Team is, yeah.
So that the card on your team doesn't have to be active, but the opponent's die would need to be because you're preventing it from blocking. I feel like we made that more confusing than it needs to be.
No, just making sure.
Okay. Let's move over to Freedom Force. You mentioned the Freedom Force in your rundown, Kim. This one's also a 2-cost mask. However, now we are the Brotherhood of Mutants affiliation. And this says, when Mystique is active, reduce damage from opposing character abilities by 1. Where did we see this ability before, Kim?
Black Widow.
Yeah.
Agent.
But the difference was that Black Widow had a bigger behind.
Mm-hmm.
Because as we mentioned earlier, Mystique has 1 defense on all of her sides. So what happened, Kim, when we were playing and I was playing Thor?
She didn't survive.
No, the first hit with Thor, when I had Thor Jorgemann's Fear active and I fielded a sidekick, the first sidekick would deal 2 damage to Mystique. She reduces by 1. However, she only has 1 defense, so she dies. And then I can do as much damage as I want to Kim's face.
Yeah.
Not to your face, Kim. Your face is nice. To your life bar on your Dice Masters mat. We continue. When Mystique is KO'd, you may move a Brotherhood character die with a purchase cost of 4 or more from your use pile to your prep area. That requires you to have purchased a Brotherhood character die with a purchase cost of 4 or more when that happens. Yeah. And there are some cool Brotherhood characters in Dark Phoenix Saga, but again, they're sort of expensive and probably not what you're trying to do.
Probably not.
So, when I saw this card was coming back, this ability was coming back, I was a little scared for my direct damage teams. However, that 1 defense really sort of destroys it. It's way too easy to kill.
You have to have something on a team that says all your character dice gets +1, you know what I mean? Like or defense, something to keep her alive. Which again requires you to have that and purchase it, right? So
which is 1 less thing you're purchasing towards your winning win conditions. So all right, you want to take the next one, Kim?
Sure. This is the rare version, taught by Magneto, 3 cost. While Mystique is active, this is Brotherhood and X-Men affiliated. While Mystique is active, Brotherhood character dice are free to field. She has an Energize. You may field a Brotherhood character die for free. And Energizes when you roll on their double energy face.
Yep. So this one's okay.
Again, you have to have a Brotherhood team.
Yeah, because you can't target a die with the Radicalization Global in your reserve pool, right?
No.
You have to target an active die, so they have to be a natural Brotherhood.
Yeah.
I guess you could do Spider-Man Superior Team Up. He'd become a Brotherhood if he was on this team.
Yes, because he gains all the affiliations on your team.
That's pretty much it. So,
yeah.
All right. And our last one from Mystique is the super rare from the Dark Phoenix Saga. She walks among us. Again, very thematic because she walks among us and we don't know who she is. It's kind of freaky. 3-cost mask, Brotherhood and Villain. Team Watch. Spin target opposing character die to an energy face of your opponent's choice. Kim, can you read Team Watch for us?
I have to find it because I don't know what it actually does.
That's why I said read it.
Let me go find it.
We thought
we would need the keywords page today.
We always need the keywords page.
The only thing is this thing takes forever to. Oh wow! As I said that, it loaded fast. All right, Team Watch. When a character with Team Watch is active and you field another character die with the same affiliation, use their Team Watch ability.
So if Mystique is active and you field another character die with the same affiliation, so could it be another Mystique?
Yes, I would say so. It doesn't say anything
about different.
Yeah. When you field another character die with the same affiliation. Another character die.
Yeah.
So maybe not.
No, I think another character die means just another
character die. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Doesn't say a different character die.
No, I probably would have said different. You're right.
Yeah, so the only thing about this that I don't like is that your opponent gets to choose the energy face.
Yeah, unless you roll at something that's useless.
Well, in the days, Kim, of Mr. Sinister,
It's still in the days.
which we are in, Mr. Sinister's rare has the pay 2 generic, field a sidekick from your use pile, prep a sidekick from your use pile. You spin it out. If I get to choose, I'm picking 2 energies.
Mm-hmm.
Then I can do a Mr. Sinister global.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
It's true.
This is a cool card. I have this one. I have played some teams with it. It's a lot of fun to spin out your opponent's stuff. Although I would rather choose it myself, like hashtag Rare Spider-Man forever.
Yeah.
So which one's your favorite, Kim?
Out of these, honestly, none.
No, out of all of them.
No, out of these ones from Dark Phoenix.
Mm.
Yeah, I would say.
No, but out of all of the ones we've covered today.
All of them? Well, you know which one my favorite is. Oh, Bitter Victory. I do have to try this Hellfire Headmistress one, though.
Yeah, that looks cool.
I'm very curious to see how that one would work. And 6 cost these days is pretty much nothing.
Super easy to get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I found her cards very thematic to her backstory.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. The subtitles and also the abilities.
Yeah.
Right? So.
She's a cool character. I actually enjoyed reading about her.
Excellent. So we would love to hear your thoughts about Mystique. Is there a favorite Mystique card that you have? How have you played Mystique in the past? All of those would be fantastic.
Cool.
We'll tell you how to tell us at the end of the episode.
How to reach us. Are we diving into Dice Bag, or do you want to do upcoming events?
Let's do Dice Bag, and then we'll wrap up with events.
Cool.
So a couple of things in the Dice Bag for last week. One of them should have been on the last episode. Sorry, Donnie. Everyone's fave hero, Donnie, sent us a message on YouTube, as he always does, on episode 70, which was a couple episodes ago. And it said, 70 episodes, what an accomplishment. Thank you for providing great content. We're blushing, Donnie. Thank you.
You're welcome.
He says, I like to keep spoilers to a minimum, kind of like Kim, but I'm curious to see if we get some Doctor Doom cards. And also, I'm excited to see the Fantastic Four and use the Thing. He was one of my favorites from AVX. Mm-hmm. So if you are interested in seeing some of the Fantastic Four characters that are going to be in this set of Secret Wars, I suggest that you head over to our good friends over at the Ministry of Dice's YouTube page. And that's youtube.com/the Ministry of Dice. Because in support of the upcoming Dice Masters vs. Cancer, which Kim is going to touch on shortly, they have just released a boatload of spoilers focused on the Fantastic Four. And I am jelly.
And I did not look at it.
But I did. And Chris did a great job putting that video together. And spoiler alert, there might be a thing in there. Also, Chris did reveal the last rarity of Invisible Woman. So we talked about spoilers a couple episodes ago, episode 70, in fact, as we just heard from Donnie. And up until this point, we've had the common, the uncommon, and the super rare of Invisible Woman. So the rare has now been revealed in that video. So go check it out. Or don't, cool. If you don't like spoilers.
Yeah, like me.
That's right. Like me too. I sort of like spoilers. I don't always like them. Anyway. All right. We heard from Jackalope Spam, a.k.a. Nick. He sent me a private message on Discord, and he said, I think you forgot one important resource in episode 71. The keywords page. Otherwise, it's really all about knowing how to use the different resources and when to go to one or the other. Like the keywords page is great for keywords, obviously. The rulebook is good for basic definitions and timing questions. And then, of course, there's the rules forum, which we talked about last episode again, which is the hardest to navigate, and I agree. He says he'd recommend after going to this after the other two weren't useful. And the forum is most broad. It's really the best if you're trying to figure out a specific card or how a couple of cards interact with each other. He recommends in the search feature, only type in one word at a time. If what you need isn't obvious from the first set of results, type a new word into the search bar and it will give you a new search within the current search results to narrow it down. If you type both words initially, it will look for instances that have either words, not both. But if all that fails, just ask someone. Ask Facebook or ask the Discord. Dear Facebook, how does this Dice Masters card work? Sincerely, Facebook user. No, go to Dice Masters Unlimited on Facebook. Go to the Dice Masters online Discord channel. There is a rules questions channel there. There's rules questions on the DM North channel. There's lots of places you can ask rules questions in Discord and on Facebook. Or just, ask your friends or ask your judge.
Not your dad.
That's right.
So,
speaking of that, we did have another person recognize our intro from episode 71. So 2 no prizes will be going out. So congrats to Jordo for figuring that out. And Nick said that's an episode title, but I don't think he got the reference. So
must be a Canadian thing then. I don't know.
I think it's a Canadian thing. So we did not get a copyright strike, FYI, from Kim's singing of the song. So Nick said that funny thing about that Council of Reeds I brought up, which is me, brought up on the podcast, it was a plot point in the Fantastic Four Future Foundation storyline I recommended. So that's what I thought it was. I thought it was from the Fantastic Four and Future Foundation storyline. However, I didn't want us to have a pop culture train wreck section. And I wasn't 100% certain that that's where it came from. So I just said, I don't remember exactly where I heard this. However, this is a thing. So he says it had some good moments where Reed has to decide to work for the greater good or to give up his family. He said, as to an evil Reed, there is one in Secret Wars in the Ultimate Universe. Reed is known as the Maker. I think he's another candidate for the Dice Master set as well. So that's pretty cool. And then I also mentioned there about the not wanting to have the pop culture train wreck section, and Nick said that those are the best. So
yeah.
Do you also like it when we as listeners, do you like it when we mess things up so that you can help us learn better? I always want to.
It's okay.
I always want to learn better when I learn more, learn better, learn from our listeners, because I am not a comics person for the most part. So when I mess something up, and even my pop culture stuff is challenging sometimes, and what can I say? It's not my forte. But yeah, Nick said he'd read most of the Secret Wars comic event and that he recommends it. There was some chatter around, is that Secret Wars comic event kid appropriate? Yort, aka Troy, was asking about that. And there was some conversations around that particular piece. It depends on, I guess, the age of your child and what they're comfortable with, but there was a general consensus that most of Secret Wars should probably be fine in the main event, but some of the side events get a little bit darker. That the Future Foundation run, which is what I had suggested, would probably be okay for kids, and KK Simons piped in and said he thinks so as well. We recommend all of those things. We recommend Secret Wars from Nick. We recommend Future Foundation and Fantastic Four. And as for appropriateness for your children, we recommend that you consider it perhaps pre-read or check the internet, because the internet will probably tell you if the internet thinks it's kid appropriate or not. Right, Kim?
Probably. Yeah, probably.
Yep. All right, so that was the dice bag. Should we throw it over to coming Dice Masters events?
Yeah, so we'll start with our weekly. So weekly Dice Arena. This happens at Tuesdays at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on our Twitch, dmNorthTV. You can check out the Discord channel for our upcoming formats for each of the week. Also, there's Dice Feist that happens on Thursdays at 4 o'clock Eastern. So mostly those are our weekly events. At the time of this recording, our Dice Social would have been ended. But Dice Social does
get better
happen
about that, Kim.
I know, right? Our Dice Social does happen once a month on a Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So look out for our details on our November one. No date set yet. And the next major upcoming online tournament, I guess you can say, is the 2022 Dice Masters versus Cancer event, which is put on by our fellows at the Ministry of Dice. That is happening on Saturday, November 19th. So that's like 3 weeks away.
And also not going to be the date of a Dice Social.
No, we will definitely not have it on that day. So yes, that is Saturday, November 19th. Starts at 1 o'clock Eastern time and then you can make your time checks from that. But if you go to their site, britroller6.com, all the details are there. It is a modern build, but anything from the top 8 from Worlds have been all the cards on the top 8 teams have been banned, so you won't be able to use them. But there's quite a fun bonus building that you can gain more tickets, because this is whole ticket things when it comes to raffles. But you can build your team around, and I've actually started building my team around that.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we'll see how much tickets I can gain out of that. But there's awesome prizing, good cause, very good cause. So please, if you can, donate. If you can play. If you can't play, donate anyways.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All the money is going to go to Cancer Research UK.
Yep. So yeah, it's always a fun time and a great day. And we will kick butt to Cancer playing Dice Masters. So we'll
F Cancer.
Plug that URL in our show notes for you, so you can see all the details on that.
Yeah, definitely go check out that page, because Chris has put a lot of work into it. And as we mentioned, head over to the YouTube, check that spoiler video, click the link, make a donation, even if you can't play. Let's kick cancer's butt in our lifetime. I think everyone I know has been affected by cancer personally in some way, either themselves or through family and friends. And F cancer. Let's kick its butt.
Yep. And I think that's it.
Yeah, I guess the only other thing, Kim, that I wanted to mention, and I completely forgot, so we're going to do it now, is we played some Dice Masters drafts in real life recently.
Yes.
We headed down to our local game store, Game Time Collectibles, here in Mississauga, and I want to put a huge thank you out to WizKids. So we reached out to WizKids and, let them know, first off, that we've been really having a lot of trouble getting access to the Dark Phoenix Saga OP kit up here. We haven't been able to get it, and also that we were offering to buy one if there was any way they could help us get one, so that we could use it for prizing for this draft that we had. Our store owner Will had purchased a couple of TOA Tomb of Annihilation draft displays, and the draft was the product was donated. It was pay what you can. They encouraged us to bring in food donations for the local food bank, because that's what the charity event was for the local food bank for the month of October. And you also get entered into a draw for some Pokemon thing with your food things.
Yeah.
Charizard something.
I don't
know. You got a lot of tickets, Kim.
I don't know. I just said, this is my bag, Will, and I put it in the box. So I don't know if you put it. It's okay.
You got tickets, didn't you?
He never physically gave me anything. Was he physically supposed to give me something? I don't know.
Yeah, he was. We'll sort that out when we're at the store later this week. But yeah, so we raised in our draft over $200 just on draft day, and huge thanks to WizKids for helping us get that OP kit. They were very kind to donate it for us. And also thank you to them for they also sent us a Hellfire Gala Premium HeroClix set, which is not yet released. It's going to be released at the end of November, and they sent us one to use with as we will. So it is up in the auction. The auction will also be done by the time this podcast comes out, but we have shared it on our Facebook page, and hopefully we'll be able to raise a whole bunch of money to help the local food bank for those that are in need. I know that here in Canada, and I think across the world, food prices have been skyrocketing, and those that are already, having financial challenges and need the support of a food bank, it just makes it that much harder. So whatever we can do, those of us that are well and able to help those in need is something that is a really great thing to do at any time of year, but especially this time of year. In October in Canada is the month of Thanksgiving, and we're heading into the winter, which is always harder to find fresh food, and that money will help out families in need. So, and as part of that, we got to draft some TOA, which was fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got a lot from my collection from that day.
I just had a good time playing some teams. It was excellent. We had some new players, we had some established players. It was a really great time. So, looking forward to doing that again next year. It's an annual event at our local game store. And again, big thanks to Game Time and Will for helping to support, and big thanks to WizKids for helping us get some prizing and auction items so that we could support the food bank here. So thank you so much. And on that note, I think that's all we have for today. Is that right, Kim?
I believe so.
Excellent. So, as we had previously asked for, if you could let us know anything you want, we want to hear all about it, everything about you, and what you think about our episode, and any thoughts you have about the Secret Wars spoilers that the Ministry of Dice put out, or do you have any corrections or suggestions to our Mystique's episode? What are your thoughts on our summary of Mystique's background? What Mystique cards have you played around with? Did we interpret them correctly using the rules and the keywords page? Any and all of the above. You can reach out to us at any of the following places. You can find us at email, dmNorth.com. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and TikTok at dmNorthTV. You can find us on Discord. We have our own Discord channel, dmNorthTV. And you can also at us. Kim is at SuperK, and I am at JoceStitch, J-O-C-E Stitch. And then, of course, the YouTube channel, youtube.com/dmNorthTV. And live stuff on Twitch at twitch.tv/dmNorthTV, including board games as well as Dice Masters. And whatever else Matt's doing. If he's opening Pokemon, I'm not sure.
It's been a while for him, actually.
Well, Dice Masters is back, so those are all the places you can find us. And until next time, on a double in dice.